Thanks for staying with us. So, yesterday we discussed Governor El-Rufai, and today we're discussing Governor El-Rufai. He's our trending governor these days. And the story we have of him, he recently sacked 4,000 of his staff, saying that he was not elected to pay salaries. And some of the reasons he gave is the fact that he has about 100,000 staff and that are using up 90% of his resources. And it's impossible for him to continue to sustain that, especially with the limited resources they have within the state from allocation, and that he'll rather use that 90% for the greater good, as we've always said on this show. Of course, he's been attacked on different quarters. Some are saying different things concerning how he could do this to his civil service. What are your thoughts on this? You can call us on 081-270-53687, or you can tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your view TVC so we can read your tweets. All right, BC, go ahead.
Okay, so while I agree with him that you cannot, if you want a state to develop, you cannot use about 90% of your resources to pay salaries. You need resources to be able to, build schools, build healthcare, build infrastructure, position yourself in put yourself in a good place so that private investors can come in. I understand that, but you have been elected to lead us, and this 90%, 100% you're talking about is the federal government allocation. Now, as the governor of a state, are you not supposed to be thinking of ways to generate resources to be able to take care of your people? What sort of resources does your state have? What can you leverage on to ensure that you are able to adequately take care of your people? Now, the 5,000 or 4,000 staff that you have sacked, did you make provisions for them on how they can survive? We have a problem of crime where a lot of people are not, working. There is no handwork. There is no business to do, and so they resort to crime. This kidnapping that we're talking about today is because people have seen it as a lucrative business and they're going into that. Did you make an arrangement to sort out these people, to put them in a trade or a craft or something, or you just let them go, let them find themselves and find their ways? And also, did you look at this retrenchment or sack holistically? Did you start from the people you are working with? Did you cut down the sizes of your aides if you have them? Do you know the way our governors have their aides? So the first response should not be sacking because the money is not enough. The first response should be finding ways to generate more revenue from your state to complement what the federal government is giving to you and take care of your people. That's why we elected you there.
Nima, your thoughts?
Me, I would just like to commend him for this one, because sad as it is, it's a bitter pill to swallow. The NLC and Labour have failed themselves. We look at Labour as activism, only to raise minimum wage and address issues. And when it comes to fighting for our workers' rights as it should be, we don't do anything. How many of these workers are even pulling their weight within the civil service? How many of them? People struggle to get civil service job, and you go to a public ministry, public facility, and somebody is telling you, what is it now? I've not finished now. I'm coming. The attitude itself is annoying. And you'll be wondering, if it was your own business, would you not pull your weight? Would you not attend, and do the right thing with your business for it to grow? And you see the civil service like, it's our own. This one is my own. And everybody's just, doing that. He said, according to him, that in 2020 in November, when he got federal allocation, what was left after paying salaries out of the 4.83 billion that he got? What was left was 162.9 million. To do what? With that one, run school, run infrastructure, build anything. You will not. And the people you're paying these salaries, you're seeing them, they're just, going on Hajj and coming back because it's Kaduna. They're putting the right hijabs and all of that. In the civil service, it's about working to help the state generate revenue. When you now go out on these duties that you're supposed to carry, instead of you to come back, you would have taken bribe and come back and you sit pretty. We know, all of us as Nigerians know for a fact that Nigerians don't put their weight in civil service.
What are your initial thoughts on this?
So my thoughts, just like Nima, is it makes sense if you do not have enough funds and resources to develop your state, to find ways to cut down where you may think it's excessive. And for me also, I feel like he's doing this directly to NLC because of the conversations that have been ongoing concerning minimum wage. And we know many governors had come out at the time saying, you know, we cannot afford to pay this new minimum wage. And so for me, I'm seeing this as the fallout from conversations like this, where we insist you pay minimum wage, sort yourself out, find it anyhow. So if the government, take loan, do whatever you need to do. And so the governors are like, okay, we'll wait and see. Now, I have decided I'll pay this new wage, but I can only afford so many, and so everyone else has to go, which would have been better. I don't know if that happened when they were having this conversation at a stakeholders meeting, where it would have been, and I hope it was, where he sat down with these civil servants and say, this is what the minimum wage should be, or this is what it will be depending on your level, but we cannot afford it now. Should we do half payments? Should we maintain old wages? Should we give them in installments? You know, things like that. I hope that there was a process before the sacking. That was mine. Secondly, the point that you raised about the civil service with just many people who are not particularly doing their job, and that is the truth. I mean, we can say this, and we're Nigerians, we know that there are so many people in so many offices that, first of all, you don't even resume on time. You are there for maybe an hour or so. In the hour or so that you're there, when somebody comes and needs you to do your job, you stress people out. You don't have files. You have to ask people to pay you money to get their files, you know, things like that. So we have that. But it's sacking, it's the reason he gave. If the reason he gave was this was the reason why we sacked them, because of their inefficiencies, it would be easier to accept.
Labour will come for that. Labour will come for them. This one, I think, carries more weight than.
No, let me tell you why this would. It will be an investigation. It will be a report. It will not just be that we just sat down and we saw it. It will be, we investigated these people over time.
But it's difficult to say 4,000 people were inefficient. However,
Nigeria, it's not difficult.
No, it was downsizing. It was not. No, it's not inefficient.
So we understand the civil service because they are
across local governments,
as you rightly said. There are cases where half of them are even doing PPs. They are all having their private businesses anyway. Yes. So what I'm hearing from the governor is that I would rather create an enabling environment for you to even do your business and excel and stir up our economy than me just giving you salaries for doing a job that maybe computer can do.
I want to add. He said something. He said that the pandemic and the lockdown made it obvious that a lot can be done with very little. And that is not just for public sector, even private sector. Everybody is looking at it and thinking, oh, so I could actually do this with less workers. So that's something that we need to be telling
grade level 12 above were across states, at least in Lagos State, made to come to work. And the other people told to stay home or come once they want to work from home. And it showed, you know, it really did not need a crowded public place. That, you know,
so I'm going to go on a quick break. When we come back, BC, we'll start with you, because can this be replicated across other states? That's really the conversation now. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about Governor El-Rufai's decision to sack 4,000 staff because he's saying that 90% of his resources are going to salaries. And I asked the question before the break. Is this something that can be replicated? I'm not saying I should sack all your civil service, but where governors can sit down and say, you know what, X amount of my resources are going to paying salaries. Are there things we can automate where we don't need this kind of robust or cluttered, I would say, civil service? Is this something that we can, because we keep saying there's no money from the center, there's no more money. Can we replicate this where, okay, let us empower this civil service privately, have these various institutions, let them start their own businesses and grow from within? What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I personally would like an overhaul of the civil service. It's long overdue. We have problems of bureaucratic bottlenecks where you need a form to be filled or you need a file to get through, and you have to sort your way through, you have to bribe your way through before they even pay attention to your file. And a lot of people leave their positions and travel all around in the name of working in the civil service. In fact, as a matter of fact, growing up and, you know, getting to finish school, the first thing everybody tell you, why don't you work in the civil service? You have time to, you know, follow this and follow your passion and do your business and all that. So the civil service has been used by people to, you know, meet their other needs aside from the needs that they were brought there for. And I believe that it should should be overhauled. But I'm worried that there may not be any plan to help these people that you are taking away from the civil service. Now, somebody mentioned if they were being sacked for their inefficiencies. Now you can say, okay, you're not performing well and I let you go because I need good hands to perform well. That one is even more understandable. But if you're going to just release people to go because you can no longer pay them as a state, if it's a private organization or private company, you would understand that they owe nobody any apology. But as a state, you have empowered these people for years and you're going to just let them go. Do you have any plans to give them like a soft landing for them to find their feet?
Right.
Those who have worked in the civil service for that long, they do not even have any form of welfare package to take care of them in their old age. You have pensioners, you know, seeking to go on strike from time to time. Do you have any plans to ease these people into and give us a plan also
Let me take Emmanuel that comes
on
to
how you want this
Emmanuel,
to run?
are you still there? From Bagada. Emmanuel, you're live.
Good morning.
I can't hear Emmanuel. We can increase the volume, please.
Hello, good morning, ladies.
Thank you, Emmanuel.
First time call, huh?
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, okay. Just to contribute to what you're discussing this morning, and I think it's important that we put this in the right perspective. So we complain a lot about our government, the leadership in Nigeria, and then, you know, sometimes when they take action, so we still again, you know, subject them to some kind of, you know, scrutiny, that you begin to wonder, okay, so what exactly are we expecting from these people? I would rather that we use this Governor El-Rufai as an example, you know, across all our states. I tell you today, I don't know if you have been to any of the local councils, you know, recently, and then you get to ask yourself, you know, why do we have this much people to do this little? And then in this age, in this present age, where technology is the, you know, anything, and then you need to begin to see examples, even by the government. So you see people carrying files from here and there, you know, things that you can just do by, you know, a click, you know, of reporting, you know, from the system. And then you see us wasting, you know, a whole lot of, you know, man hours every day, day in, day out. And that affects a whole lot of things, you know, even in developing your state or developing the country as a whole. So another angle to it is the way government is in Nigeria.
Hello, Emmanuel. Oh, I think we lost him. Yes, Nima, go ahead.
I already commended the governor for what he did, but I have a problem with how it was done. So we know that the age of retirement in the country is above 60, but he retired compulsorily, people above 50. I feel that you should have allowed them, because, you know, the contributory pension, I think they have a duration of contribution. And I hope they do that in Kaduna State, because he cannot afford to pay. Since he cannot afford to pay their salaries, they afford to pay their pension anyway. So he also casualized workers between level 1 and level 6 within the civil service. Casualization is something I abhor. I hate it. I expect that the NLC, those are the issues that they should be, you know, canvassing. You cannot casualize anybody. We already have private businesses casualizing our citizens in their businesses in the name of reducing workload, reducing costs. And people are treated almost like slaves in such companies. People have certain rights that they must be entitled to. I recently saw a family member's employment package, and I was happy because it included every single thing that it should include.
Now, there's a flip side to this, because we always remember that this state, Lagos State, the former governor of Lagos, Asiwaju at the time, during Obasanjo's period, did not get any kobo from the federal government.
How did it survive?
1 kobo.
And he survived.
And it was until Fashola came that we started getting allocation.
Yes.
So he was creative, and he started finding ways to collect VAT from the informal sector and even the formal sector. He found a way to generate revenue within
the state.
So that's a governor who was creative at the time in this state. What is Governor El-Rufai doing to ensure that creativity, the way he's staring at the company?
His workers did what they needed to do. They would go to the companies that they needed to go with their letter saying, these are what you're owing the state. these are your withholding taxes that is entire, or you're paying whatever your tax that should come to the state, they will go there and, you know, work at getting it. You can't just sit in the office and say that they should pay you salary.
The government, yes, sacked 4,000, but could there have been creative ways of generating revenue, which he has probably not explored?
That they should have even proposed to him as workers. They should propose it. Go to governor, say, governor, maybe you are close to this one. See how we can help you generate money, and see whether the governor will think twice.
So definitely the conversation, we have had it many times here about how we expect our governors to be more creative concerning resources and, you know, funds from the state. We cannot continue to depend on the federal government for these allocations. We just spoke yesterday about Obaseki saying that they had to print out money because there's really no money. So this is even, so what the Kaduna State governor might also be saying is that even from the printed money, we didn't even get enough. You know, so definitely there has to be a different way of doing business going forward. But I think that is more in the long run. You know, in the short run, what does a state do in the short run to create and develop the state for infrastructure, to build, to open up schools, to open hospitals? What do they need to do? My only fear is that when you let go these 4,000 workers, where do they end up?
That's what BC was saying.
Yeah, where do they end up? What do we do with them? Do they now become a nuisance in the society where we're now looking for ways to, you know, curb crime again? So that's the thing.
Let's take this quick call from Richard from Port Harcourt. Are you there, Richard? Hello, Richard. You're live. Go ahead, please. Hello, Richard.
Hello, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, a very interesting conversation you're having.
Yeah.
But I think you should be looking at it from a very fundamental part, based on the fact that you should be asking, what is the governor's business with sacking local government workers? If we are running a troop exam, the local government is supposed to be in charge of their own tax, employment and all that. So the governor, what he do right now is to set up a caretaker committee. And caretaker committee is illegal to our constitution. You understand? So this thing they are doing is an illegality. So fundamentally, the governor has no business with local government workers. So each local government should be able to generate revenue. I understand that I've had a real experience working on.
Thank you very much, Richard. Yes, the final comments have to run.
Yes, so I think leaders should understand that leadership is not about passing the buck, but about taking responsibility. So if you check your books and you see that the federal government is not doing enough for us, we cannot survive on what the federal government is bringing, I would expect that you get your experts, you should have some in your state, to advise you on the way forward, to look through your resources, what you have, and how you can maximize it to help your people. Even if at the end of the day you realize, okay, the state can no longer have as many people, since we can do more effectively with a few people. People will see that you are generating revenue. People will see that you're not just waiting. It's like a father who is not able to provide for the home. Do you drive all your children outside and say, okay, you should go and fend for yourself? You find ways, you think, you brainstorm and find ways to help your people.
Sometimes share them for family members.
Andrew says, in as much as I want us to retain workers as much as possible, what kind of creative way can Governor El-Rufai create revenue streams of income? KB says, I think one of the major problems in Nigeria is how we run our civil service. Unlike private sector where you have targets, KPI, most civil servants cannot cope in private sector because you hardly hear government sack workers based on inefficiency.
BOS says, I don't blame him. The Nigerian system is created to cater for its leaders alone, not the followers, and politicians can kill to get to that position. That's why pensioners will not be paid by why government officials will have several appointees. Festus Akimboyewa says, it seems to me that only Governor El-Rufai understands the art of governance in Nigeria. Why keeping bloated, unproductive civil service? We should not be sentimental about it, but let him pay whatever is owed to them so that they can move on in life.
All right, that's all we can take on this segment. We have to run. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll move on to discuss Ebube Agu. Stay with us, we'll be right back.